Mr. Kapoor, good morning. Great to have you here. Thanks very much. Prashant this side. The earnings season will come to a close mostly by the end of the week. How do you rate the earnings? And many have said that these earnings, especially from consumer companies, discretionary, staples, etc., mark a turnaround, mark a jump for the better. What's your assessment, sir?
Well, in general, I think yes, the earnings season this time around has been somewhat better than what we've seen in the past few quarters. And particularly, yes, in some of the sectors like FMCG sector and consumers, you've seen significantly better earnings and earnings growth than we had in the last 4-5 quarters. Overall, I think there is some improvement, although, of course, it's not very, very significant.
Would this lead to any revision in earnings expectations itself for the Q1 or beyond that? I mean, 17 basically?
I don't think it leads to any earnings revision on the upside, but what it does do is that it prevents a significant downward revision in earnings, because if you really notice for the past several quarters, there has been a constant downward revision in earnings estimates of analysts. One, because the analysts had been too optimistic over the past 7 or 8, 5 or 6 quarters, and secondly because the earnings growth did not really improve at all during these 6-7 quarters. So this time is the first time around where I think you have a situation where earnings estimates of analysts have already been revised down significantly, and now having this quarter which was reasonably okay, we don't expect too much further downside revision of earnings estimates for FY17.
If you look at the sectors per se, right, you actually kind of have to limit yourself to consumer companies. All kinds of consumer companies, durables, staples, discretionaries, across the board, spectrum of companies, to find these upgrades. Because in a lot of other sectors, be it IT, take HCL, take Wipro, take banks, ICICI, Axis, PSU banks, and these are large sectors. And metals and mining, of course, is another story completely. I don't think we need to discuss that. There are downgrades. So except consumer, which seems to be an oasis, all around the consumer space, one actually has seen downgrades for 17 numbers.
Right now, of course, the overall story is more oriented towards consumption than investment, because the investment in the economy, the capex, etc., have still to pick up. So there are a large number of sectors related to capital investment which are still not seeing any great traction in earnings growth. But once, and I think we for this earnings growth to sort of spread itself into more sectors, one thing we are going to need definitely is a good monsoon. And if we have that, then you could definitely see, some improvement in, say, earnings estimate for some private sector banking industry, NBFCs, housing finance companies, cement. That I think is going to be a very, very critical event this year, given the fact that you had 2 bad years of rains consecutively.
The other area where earnings have been super strong is banks, right? Except the ones I mentioned, ICICI, Axis, PSU, numbers have been pretty strong. NII growth, etc., 20% plus year on year. A lot of NBFCs have been reporting fantastic numbers as well. That's the other pocket per se, where there is extreme performance. You'd agree with that, sir, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said, that, the finance sector, financial sector is doing reasonably well, except for the PSU banks. So the housing finance companies or the NBFCs, the private sector banks, consumer lending companies, they're all doing pretty well. And if you have good rains, I think, there could be further expansion in their earnings growth for FY17 and 18. So that's one sector, a large sector, in addition to the normal consumption, which I think can do pretty well over the next 12 months.
Okay. Now, just a quick point. The revenues, even for consumer companies, volume growth has been, low single digit, double digit in some cases, but revenue trends have remained weak, and that's a function of pricing, right? Are we starting to see a reverse? Will we start to see a reversal in that? Because April WPI was the first positive print after some 18 months or so. So will we see margin expansion slowing down, maybe revenue growth picking up a little bit? And how will markets react to that?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think because revenue growth will pick up as the WPI inflation begins to pick up from the negative numbers that we've had for so many months. And also raw material prices have started to bottom out. So that means, yeah, you're right, that margins probably will contract a little bit, but top line growth will be far better. So I think that's not negative, because this big expansion in margins that we had was largely due to the very, very downbeaten raw material prices, and that's not going to stay forever. So if you have reasonable top line growth and with a little bit contraction of margins, that's still going to be positive for the sector.
What's your overall view of the market, Vibhav? Are we heading anywhere, or is again yo-yo basically? I mean, the only way we get a bit of a rally is after we sell off a little bit. I mean, so essentially very ranged.
No, I think we are consolidating. Overall, over the next 12 months, we are positive on the market. Of course, subject to having a good monsoon or a normal monsoon. We believe that the index has a reasonable amount of upside from here. Let's say by March 2017, we're looking at the Nifty index of anywhere between 8,700 to 9,000. But for the time being, definitely, the market is not cheap. It's probably trading around 16.5, 17 times FY17 earnings, and therefore needs to consolidate for some time before maybe till the first quarter of this year, till it starts to move up. Also, we have 2 or 3 uncertain events coming up in June. Particularly, we have the US Fed meeting where there is a chance of increase of interest rates. We have the British referendum, which I think is very, very important from the global equity point of view. And of course, we have the monsoons to look forward to. Once these events are over, I think you could see the next uptrend beginning, which should be towards the end of June.
You said this so-called Brexit vote is very important. In what way, Vibhav? And because it's been kind of under-discussed, I guess discussion, etc., would pick up closer to the event. It's only later next month. But in your assessment, how important is it?
Well, it's important from global markets point of view. And, if Britain does decide to exit the EU, I think you are going to have a round of panic everywhere in the equity markets all over the world, because it's going to mean a lot of calibration of economies everywhere, of trade treaties, of export-import figures, etc. And while it may not directly affect India, but it could definitely affect India in some indirect way, and also because of flows, at least in the short term, which could get completely out of whack for some time. In fact, when we talk to global investors, we find that a lot of them are really waiting for this event to happen and see how it goes.
Okay, all right. But you think that post all of these events, and if the monsoon more importantly locally plays out as is being expected, we begin our next move up from somewhere where we are right now, right?
I would think so, yes.
Would you expect, and now this is of course just a forecast or a prediction I'm asking you to make. By the end of the year, the market to be 10-15% higher, Vibhav?
I would say, as I said, by March of next year, we'll be looking at about 8,700 to 9,000, which is about 10 to 12% higher from where they are right now.
Got that. I mean, at IL&FS, would you like to tell us where are your top picks located in which sectors? If you want to talk about stocks, just a quick recap, Vibhav, that would be helpful.
No, sorry, Prashant, I don't talk about stocks.
Sectors or subsectors?
Sectors, as I said, yes, the consumption theme, I think will continue to play well, subject to a good monsoon. So anything related to consumption and rural economy particularly, because I think as far as the rural economy is concerned, a good monsoon is going to help. And also government is again putting a thrust on rural expenditure and, bringing up the growth in the rural economy by various means. So anything related to rural economy should do well. So you have FMCG, you could have two-wheelers, some auto companies, which could do well. And then, as we said, the finance sector, except for PSU banks, maybe real estate at some point of time, cement, these would be the sectors which we would be favoring.
Thanks very much, Vibhav. Appreciate you joining us with that perspective.